Hey friends, it's me, Miss Kirkman again. So I'm ready to join you for another story today. Today, our story is by Don Freeman. It's one of my favorite stories. It's the book called Corduroy. I love this story. Corduroy is a little bear, and he goes on an adventure in a department store because he's trying to find something. So, one of my favorite books I want to share today, Corduroy. But before we get started, I want to explain to you a little bit about the setting or the place that this story takes place. The setting is where stories take place. And this has a setting that I'm not sure you might be very familiar with. The setting for this story is called a department store. And a department store is a place, a shop, a store that has many different places to buy things or many different departments, sections of the store that sell different kinds of things. So here's a map of a department store. So you can see that in this department store, there's a place to buy toys. So if you wanted to buy some toys for yourself, you'd go there. If you need to buy sports equipment, basketballs or baseballs or tennis rackets or things like that, that's where you'd go. If you needed to get some electronics like a new TV or a computer, you'd come over here. Over here, you could go buy children's clothes. So all these different places are places that you can go to get the things that you need in a department store. So in our story, Corduroy is in a department store. He's going to be in the toy department, and then he's also going to find himself in the furniture department, a place where you can buy furniture for your house. So, in the setting today, think about that Corduroy is moving throughout a store with many different departments or sections to buy things. We're also going to find out today about an escalator. An escalator is something that many department stores have or shopping malls have, and they're moving stairs. They help you get from the bottom to the top or the top back down. And so today we're going to read in our story about an escalator, moving stairs that you stand on. So let's get started with Corduroy. And at the end, we're going to think about the different places that Corduroy was. We're going to think about sequence. So we've talked about comparing characters. We've talked about putting details or information in a drawing. And today we're going to think about sequence. So Corduroy by Don Freeman. Corduroy is a bear who once lived in the toy department of a big store. Day after day, he waited with all the other animals and dolls for somebody to come along and take him home. The store was always filled with shoppers, buying all sorts of things, but no one ever seemed to want a small bear in green overalls. Then one morning, a little girl stopped and looked straight into Corduroy's bright eyes. "Oh, Mommy," she said, "look, there's the very bear I've always wanted." "Not today, dear," her mother sighed. "I've spent too much already. Besides, he doesn't look new. He's lost the button to one of his shoulder straps." Corduroy watched them sadly as they walked away. "I didn't know I'd lost a button," he said to himself. "Tonight I'll go and see if I can find it." Later that evening, when all the shoppers had gone and the doors were shut and locked, Corduroy climbed safely down from his shelf and began searching everywhere on the floor for his lost button. Suddenly, he felt the floor moving under him. Quite by accident, he had stepped onto an escalator, and up he went. There they are, those moving stairs going up escalator. Could this be a mountain? He wondered. I think I've always wanted to climb a mountain. He stepped off the escalator as it reached the next floor, and there before his eyes was an amazing sight. Tables and chairs and lamps and sofas and rows of beds. "This must be a palace," Corduroy gasped. "I guess I've always wanted to live in a palace." What part of the department store is that? The clothing department or the furniture department? He wandered around, admiring, liking, looking at, and wanting, admiring the furniture. "This must be a bed," he said. "I've always wanted to sleep in a bed." And up he crawled. onto a large, thick mattress. All at once, he saw something small and round. "Why, here's my button," he cried, and he tried to pick it up. But, like all the other buttons on the mattress, it was tied down tight. He yanked and pulled with both paws until, pop, off came the button, and off the mattress Corduroy fell over, toppled. Bang! Into a tall floor lamp. Over it fell with a crash. Corduroy didn't know it, but there was someone else awake in the store. The night watchman was going on his rounds on the floor above. When he heard the crash, he came dashing down the escalator, running quickly, dashing down the escalator. "Now, who in the world did that?" he exclaimed. "Somebody must be hiding around here." He flashed his light under and over sofas and beds till he came to the biggest bed of all, and there he saw 2 fuzzy brown ears sticking up from under the covers. "Hello," he said. "How did you get upstairs?" The watchman tucked Corduroy under his arm and carried him down the escalator and set him on the shelf in the toy department with all the other animals. Corduroy was just waking up when the first customers came into the store in the morning. And there, looking at him with a wide, warm smile, was the same little girl he'd seen only the day before. "I'm Lisa," she said, "and you're going to be my very own bear. Last night I counted what I've saved in my piggy bank, and my mother said I could bring you home." Corduroy blinked. There was a chair and a chest of drawers, and alongside the girl... Oh, I skipped a page. I knew I did. "Shall I put him in a box for you?" the saleslady asked. "Oh, no, thank you," Lisa answered, and she carried Corduroy home in her arms. She ran all the way up 4 flights of stairs into her family's apartment and straight into her own room. We're on the right page. Corduroy blinked. There was a chair and a chest of drawers, and alongside it, a girl-sized bed, stood a little bed just the right size for him. The room was small, nothing like the enormous palace in the department store. "This must be a home," he said. "I know, I've always wanted a home." Lisa sat down with Corduroy in her lap and began to sew a button on his overalls. "I like you the way you are," she said, "but you'll be more comfortable with your shoulder strap fastened." "You must be a friend," said Corduroy. "I've always wanted a friend." "Me too," said Lisa, and gave him a big hug. Corduroy by Don Freeman. So today I wanted you to think about the sequence of where Corduroy is, or the things that happen to Corduroy throughout the story. So sequence tells us when the events or the things that in a story happen. And I can use my journal. So here's my reading journal again. And today I'm going to do sequencing. So in order to set up for sequencing, I did something very easy. I just made 3 boxes. See, I just made a box here and here and here. And then I can write underneath my boxes. So I haven't finished mine today. I haven't colored it in, and I haven't finished writing. But I thought about the events and the things that happened. And the first thing that happened was Corduroy was on the shelf with all the other animals. Next, he was on that big bed trying to pull off the buttons. See, I haven't finished that picture yet. And then I'm going to say the last thing that happened to Corduroy when Corduroy was in the story. I think that my last event is going to be that Corduroy was hugging Lisa, because I think that that is a special event and that's the very last thing that happened. The thing I want you to notice is in my writing today, I used words that tell sequence. So I used some very important words. I used the word, I'm going to put a highlighter here so we can see them. I used the words first, next, and last. These are words that tell me the sequence. Something that happens at the beginning is something that's the first thing. Something that happened after that is we can use next. And then the very last thing that happened, we use the word last. There's other sequence words that we can use. Maybe you've heard about finally for the thing that has happened last, or maybe you've heard about after that. So you can think about different sequence words to tell when the events in the story happened. So go back and listen to the story again and think about the sequence. What events were happening and what is the order that they happened in? And then you can put a sequence chart to show and write about the events and when they happened in the story. I hope you enjoyed the story of Corduroy. I can't wait to see you again for another way to talk about literacy in our lives. All right, bye bye. Have a great day.